Good morning. It gives me immense pleasure to introduce to you today Professor Indira Munshi, former professor and faculty at the Department of Sociology at the University of Mumbai. She joined the department in 1981 and she was at the department till 2010, spanning over 3 decades. She taught courses on agrarian society in India, sociology of environment, sociology of development, a paper on Karl Marx, methodology of social research, on tourism at the department as well as in universities abroad. She worked as director of a team for the UGC EPW project on academic writing and publication, which included organizing a number of workshops for scientists, social scientists in different parts of the country during 2010 to 2011. And it came out in an edited volume. Her major book publications include Patrick Geddes' Contribution to Sociology and Urban Planning, Vision of a City, published in 2022, The Adivasi Questioned, Issues of Land, Forest and Livelihood, On the Waterfront, Reclaiming Mumbai's Open Spaces, with P.K. Das, architect P.K. Das, and Adivasi Life Stories, Context, Constraints, Choices. She's contributed a number of seminal articles that we'll refer to in the course of our conversation. She's been awarded research scholarships by the ICSSR as well as a fellowship under the German Academic Exchange program DAD for her research at Hamburg on the role of Sir Dietrich Brandis in India. She's been on visiting fellowships across the country as well as abroad. She's been on academic bodies such as the executive editor of the Indian Journal of Secularism, former chairperson of the Institutional Review Board at the Tata Institute of Social Sciences, Mumbai, former member of the Management Council and the Senate of the University of Mumbai, former member of the Governing Board of Tata Institute of Social Sciences. Welcome, Professor Munshi, to this conversation initiated by the President of the Indian Sociological Society, Professor Maitrey Chaudhary, to record the experiences and experiences of senior scholars across India. Welcome. Thank you for accepting our invitation.
Thank you, Professor Maitrey Chaudhary. Thanks to ISS for initiating these interviews, and thank you, Manisha. It's good to talk to a friend, a colleague about my journey in sociology. Yes, it has been a long one and it continues. So I am glad to speak with you about how it has been both in the department and outside. Yes, I joined the department in 1981.
Would you like to tell us what brought you into sociology, or who and what influenced you into sociology after having done English literature at the undergrad level?
Yes.
And you studied in Calcutta?
Yes, I did. I did. In a way, both the city and the subject really prepared me for taking up sociology more seriously. Calcutta was a very, very vibrant, happening city when I was there, which is 68 to 71 before I came here. And Calcutta had always been extremely vibrant, from morchas and protests to Greek tragedies being staged and Bertolt Brecht and Vietnam happening in such a big way that all of us were drawn into that extremely lively and thought-provoking. It was not just entertainment and enjoyment. It was serious thinking, and we were all drawn into it. I was extremely happy to do English literature, which I will come to later, which actually in a way prepared me, which has very positively shaped my work and the manner in which I look at and practice sociology. The other big reason for joining sociology and in Bombay was my brother, Professor Indira Munshi, whom you have met and whom sociologists know. He had studied sociology in Agra. At that time, there was no sociology department in Calcutta, and I don't know how he heard about sociology. It was a new subject. So he went to Agra, was extremely appreciative of his teachers there, and was very enthused about sociology. English literature sensitized me to great many things, but it didn't quite answer the questions I was confronted with. You know, the society was sort of expressing itself. Various sections were actually becoming very active and raising issues and questions to which I didn't find a direct answer in English literature. And he suggested that I come to Bombay and join the Department of Sociology because he had met Professor Desai in one of the Indian sociological conferences early on, I don't know in which year. And Dr. Desai was a much loved and popular sociologist at that time. So I decided to come to the department in Bombay. Just walked into Dr. Desai's office and I said, Professor Desai, Indira Munshi, who has met you, has sent me to you and I want to study sociology. He said, oh, you do. Here, take this one book, read it and come back to me after 7 days.
Okay, which is that book?
I don't remember. What is sociology?
Okay.
Alex Inclis, what is sociology? So I read it and I mean it was easy, it was all right. And then he chatted with me in his very friendly, nice way. And he said, okay, go to the office and get yourself admitted. And there I was, and little did I realize that I would spend my entire academic life there. I joined as an MA student and I retired as a teacher there.
Oh, that's so wonderful to hear.
It was wonderful. I didn't move out. I just couldn't leave that department. I didn't want to move out.
So, Professor Munshi, this, the substantive body of your research has been on the tribal question, on the Adivasi question. And it was probably also part of your PhD research, right?
Yes.
So would you sort of share with us, as well as for young scholars across the country, about what were the methods that you used, what were the sources that you used in your research work?
Yes, that experience was something that never left me. I could not leave the region. I still go back and I still write short pieces. But anyway, to that later. I went because one of our my teachers, Dr. Manorama Savur, did a very small project on the Varlis, just for a 15-day field trip. And she took some of us there and we went to that region with no special agenda. She said, let's just go and see what an Adivasi region looks like. I had never been to one. So there we were. I mean, I had seen urban poverty because I had worked in Dharavi during my MA days. I think for a whole year we would go charged with Paulo Freire and Ivan Illich, and we'd want to go and teach them. They wanted to learn English. So we went there. A friend of mine, Dr. Dorsal, very colleague at that time in the history department, and we went there and I don't know what we taught them, but anyway, we learnt a lot. So I'd seen urban poverty, and but this was something else. This was something entirely different. This was fear and silence and poverty and stories of oppression and exploitation that one had never heard or seen, and we were exposed to that. So those 15 days obviously left a very deep impression on me, and I decided that I would go back and I would study this whole situation much more closely. I came back I think I had already finished my MA when we undertook this, and I requested Dr. Desai to guide me. He said yes, he would do that. I was his last PhD student. He loved his students. He called us his young friends. He never introduced us as his students. He was very, very welcoming, and I started my PhD work. Yes, I did combine many sources, and I think that shaped the work that I continued with. Not necessarily on tribal communities, but much else of the research that I did subsequently was very much influenced by what I did in the field. I went there, lived altogether for about 6 to 7 months, and I had my questionnaire, and I had the usual, paraphernalia of research and taped interviews. But these interviews became longer and longer and more in depth, and I began to learn to do research. And of course, I was familiar with the kind of anthropological work that had been done. Observation was just so important. So I kept, of course, journal. I would note down everything. And of course, I recorded, those days you had those tapes, and half the time they worked, they didn't work, you were petrified and all that.
That's true.
And it scared them a little bit, but assuring them and all that. And I collected a lot of material there, interviewed some 200 families or something, plus of course many, many. And so that was part of the field work that I did. I had read, for example, Professor Srinivas and Professor Betil and trials and tribulations of doing field work and triumphs and trials and so on. So one knew how one works in the field, but one is never prepared for it, as you would know. One is never prepared for it, and somehow, maybe we'll talk about it later, maybe all of us should have prepared ourselves better. However, maybe just as well we learned on the run. So that was a great learning for me. I collected material. But here I must add, I kept myself as far as possible. I kept some distance. Of course, I was the researcher, and they were, they were people to whom I was speaking. I tried to keep a distance, which I did. But all that one reads in books about no feelings and no emotions, and when you are, all that objectivity and all that. But anyway, notwithstanding, a lot has been written and said about it by other scholars. What I experienced very much was, of course, empathy for the people I was working with, and fear. My fear was just so great because it was a situation, I chose a village which was known for its very, very strong landlordism. People had come from UP, acquired hundreds of acres of land, and the kind of oppression and exploitation that had happened was unthinkable. And films like Ankur and others had, we had just seen them, and I was literally terrified every evening of being killed or whatever, chased away, and worse. So it was a very powerful experience. I stuck it out and collected a lot of material, and from time to time one would hear things like, write about us. Tell everybody who lives in palaces and who lives in huts. Tell people we are starving. We are, all that. So that was tremendous encouragement to write. I didn't want to see them as though they had no history. I was aware of what had happened to the forests and therefore what had happened to the tribals. I was aware of that, and I did for a whole year. I mean, not every day. I would go once in 8 days, 10 days, whenever I could, to their Maharashtra State Archives. I spent a whole year there. I taught myself to do archival work, and we have a gold mine here. They have kept it extremely badly. By now, I think it has almost disintegrated, at least a lot of the document. So the so-called native newspapers and every collector who had been in that district, their reports, weekly reports. So all that was available to me, and I just could not. And that is why I started looking at the history of forests and so on.
That sort of, I think, links to your work on the environmental, and the colonial forest policies.
Yes.
I think for you received in '94, you were awarded a German Academic Exchange Service DAD fellowship, right, to work on Dietrich Brandis.
Yes, I got heavily into the colonial forest policy, and of course post-independence, which by and large continued. It had a very, very negative impact. And I read this, day after day when I read these reports, and I must tell you this, Manisha, and it was like they are deprived of this right, that right, firewood, berries, yay, whoa. Now from cartload it has become headload, all that. And then I would come down, this is in Elphinstone College, I'd come down, sit in the canteen and feel desperate. I said, my God, how long will this go on? Why don't people protest? And lo and behold, after some weeks, I find there is a major tribal protest. And now, I must say, I could not distort reality. I mean, I had to go by what the reports said. But when it did happen, I said, at last, people have asserted themselves. That is what research does to you. One is so immersed in what one is doing.
And the archives have been such a treasure trove, right? So in the 90s, I remember there was this expansion in the kind of work that was being done on environmental histories.
It was. People would ask me, you are a sociologist, why are you studying a German forest? I want to study Dietrich Brandis. Great man. Anyway, then I wrote about him. And of course, studies had started appearing on, many people wrote, Mahesh Rangarajan and several others. Our
Ramakrishnan.
The Buster studies, and several people wrote about forest and what was happening to tribal communities. So that was that, and I wanted to go back, and I did go back. I did go back, and I knew the region, I knew the people, I knew some of the non-political organizations working there, and they all helped. And I then tried a method, which maybe we talk about later in details, about this life story, life history method.
So that is your work on the Adivasi question. You brought out 2 volumes, right? One is the Adivasi Life Stories, and the other is the edited volume on Adivasi. The Adivasi Questioned.
Maybe when we talk about the EPW experience, I will tell you how the Adivasi question materialized. But my own study was, I don't know, I was trying out this method of life stories. Again, I was very impressed by the work that was being done in Germany. on collecting life stories, because they were looking for people who had been sympathetic and active in the Nazi times, and so they were beginning to collect orally the histories of people's lives, and I was very impressed by that. I don't know how successful I was, but I was very satisfied that at least some lives had been recorded, and as the title says, what is the context in which, social context, and what are the contexts and the constraints that imposes, and what choices people make. Under great constraints, people make some choices, but I mean, these choices are very limited and extremely difficult, very difficult. Their lives continued to be very difficult. However, just to tell you one little something which warmed my heart very much, is when Adivasi woman whom I had interviewed, who was a very, very active and very courageous woman, she, when I showed her the book, she said, "Okay, I'm glad. So this book is about me." I said, "Well, yes, partly, you are there." And then I was told she'd keep it under her pillow, and whoever she thought was important enough came to meet her, she would say, "This book is about me." One person came from the city and wrote this book about me. So that very gratifying.
That's true. That's true.
I learned a lot from that whole experience. Yes.
Your other area of work has been on Patrick Geddes.
Yes.
Right? The first professor and head of the Department of Sociology in 1919. You got a ICSSR fellowship in 2013.
Yes.
Could you tell us a bit about that?
Yes, Manisha. That was...
How did you get interested in Patrick Geddes and his work?
Yes. Considering nobody was talking about him, nobody ever even mentioned his name.
Except for that photograph, the painting at the department.
Exactly. That portrait. We had 3 very lovely portraits in our seminar room. So sometime maybe got a bit distracted when some lecture was going on. Suddenly I looked at this portrait and I was very impressed by the... Have you seen that face closely? It's a very intense expression and very sharp, penetrating eyes, and such a sensitive face. So, a very handsome man. And I looked at it and I said, "Now, who's he and what has he done and why don't we know about him?" Because others we knew about. So Patrick Geddes, I just looked around in the library. There was one volume, which Professor Ferreira and Professor Jha had brought out this volume. Quite a good volume. In fact, at least 8 or 10 articles were quite good. And but beyond that, I never heard his name mentioned in the department. I didn't see him included in the syllabus. By then I was already teaching. And I said, but this man seems to have done a great deal. Let me. So I just started looking out, and there was really a huge world of work and writing waiting to be explored. So I thought, okay, now I can't go into it in a big way. Let me see. So I wrote that article in EPW. And I must say the response I got was just wonderful. It was just an article for which I had done a fair amount of work, but really just on the surface. So when that article was so appreciated, and here I must mention, apart from the volume, the 2 persons who had actually mentioned and written about Patrick Geddes was Ramachandra Guha and Shiv Vishwanath. They had written articles. So these are the only two sociologists. And then when I saw that he was the head of the department, he founded the department.
Yes, yes.
I said, he certainly must be given the place he deserves. I don't know. I still don't know, Manisha, why he just interfered on the sociological scene. He was a difficult person, but that doesn't matter. We have many difficult sociologists or academics. He was a difficult man. He worked on many things. He was everything. He seems to have studied sociology, economics, geography, urban planning. He seemed to have done so much. But it was worth exploring.
Right.
And in India, not much had been done. And I got this scholarship, and I must say for 2 years I did. I worked very hard on collecting material, and I went to Edinburgh. I went to Edinburgh, and that was wonderful. That was wonderful. The archives there was a gold mine, and a gold mine which was well preserved, well looked after, and it was a pleasure to work there. So I'd work from 9 to whatever 8 till they drove us out, and everything was beautifully kept, given to me. They did everything, and I'm very grateful to them. So I collected, and these were also unpublished material. Letters, for example, his personal letters, his communications with Tagore, with J.C. Bose, and Professor Radha Kamal Mukherjee. The only man who really wrote and gave Patrick Geddes his due on the sociological scene was Professor Radha Kamal Mukherjee. And he found his ideas because he was talking about ecology. He was talking about ecology, and subsequently his work was planning cities with people and nature as the focus.
Correct. Right.
Now,
which is something
so
missing, right? These
that
days.
was missing. That was missing. And in fact, I wish we had taken Patrick Geddes more seriously. Actually, we would have been pioneers in both environmental studies, ecology, and urban ecology. And urban ecology. Living in Mumbai, I mean, we really could have, but we missed that. We missed that, and mine was just an effort to revive him. And what was so surprising was architects knew about him, geographers knew about him. They wrote to me, they sort of, discussed the book wherever they were. I received a lot of. But sociologists did not show the kind of enthusiasm that even urban planners or architects, or as I said, geographers.
Right.
Well, this was an effort, and I hope it has borne some fruit.
Yes.
I found him central to an ecological perspective on urban planning.
Right.
And he made that he placed it at the core of sociology. And that, branched out.
Right.
What, for example, universities could do to actually prepare citizens for urban regeneration, restoration. How were we to improve our cities? Everybody had a role in it, in making healthy, livable, beautiful cities.
That's true.
So, That is what that was about. That included largely printed material that was available, some archival material, and I contacted people who knew him well, an occasional letter, an occasional note. So that was unpublished, that was primary material. And I would like one last thing, add this. You know, it was fascinating how much he did. He wrote some 30 reports, detailed reports for whoever invited him, the Maharajas or, you know,
Indore,
governments.
the city of Indore.
Indore, of course, is the celebrated one, but everywhere. You know, Ceylon at that time, Lahore, so many cities. Wherever the authorities invited him, he would go and prepare voluminous reports on what was wrong and what could be improved. And I liked this approach. What is wrong, not merely to criticize, but then to find what could be done and to do it. And to do it, you know. And I was myself going through a very difficult time in my personal life. And sort of very low in the family. And COVID came. So that was another great, you know, it was a horrible experience. And there was Patrick Geddes. And there was Patrick Geddes who was with me, giving me all the support and encouragement, and by his own example, telling me how one has to go on. He was in India when his wife died. He was in India when he heard about his son's death during the war. And then he would recover and he would do his work. And I must say, so research is not what you do from, you know, 10 to 4 and then you live your life. Research becomes part of your life. Just as I learned from Adivasis and it became me. So I learned from Geddes and so many others who went along with him, and so it enriches you in so many different ways.
Your current area of research seems now to have tended towards tourism, right? Which you had also initiated a course on tourism at the department.
Yes.
Could you elaborate on that?
Yes, I could. We were the first department to introduce a full-fledged MA course on sociology of environment. And it was very popular. I believe, and many colleges would approach me and we would plan their syllabi and teaching and things like that. So, and of course the externals, you know, the external situation was where environment was becoming a hot topic, an important topic, and everybody was in a way pushed to recognize. You know, people had been talking about it earlier. My very close friend Darrell de Monte, you know, when few people were talking about it, he would tell us, you know, how scary the scene was, what was going on at the global level. So why tourism? Tourism, again, because in a way it all ties up, you know, it all ties up. Environment and human beings, communities, if these are central to our concern, anything that we sociologists do affects, you know, nature, the whole ecosystem, environment, and communities, people. So that's what we are engaged with. And I began to realize that mass tourism was doing great harm. Great harm to both, to communities, although it seems, and it is, of course, a source of financial benefits to governments, to communities, and everyone wants tourists. But the manner in which it has been developed, this industry has now come to be so, what should I say, so destructive that we have to take note of it. We have to take note of it. It is part of this very consumerist society where everything is marketed, marketable. Everything is a commodity, whether that is nature, fragile ecosystems, or communities, their social, norms, practices. Everything cannot become a commodity. Everything is not for sale. It was not so visible. We thought, well, tourists go, they are not always responsible, and governments promotes tourism, and it's a good thing. I mean, for the health of any country, for the health of global, kind of understanding and sort of freedom to visit, to learn, great education. But we can't turn it into a source of, it's like an inroad into both nature and people's lives in the long run. So short term, long run, responsibility, ethics, some principles, some boundaries, some checks. So all that was what I wanted to explore and see. Where can it be controlled? Where can it be restored to a healthy interaction between people from different regions and cultures? Sometimes with great awareness, sometimes with no awareness. I have paid for it, so I must get it.
Exactly.
So it is this kind of a system that we are living in, that it is, we all want enjoyment, we all want to run away, we all want, instant gratification.
Exactly.
Our John Arry said, constant stimulation and instant gratification. And traveling provides that.
Exactly. Professor Munshi, you've been at the department for many years, first as a master's student, then as a research scholar, and then as faculty member of the department, right? So could you tell us something about your experiences of the institutional space of the Department of Sociology in the University of Mumbai? What kind of interactions were there between different departments, and any memories and anecdotes that you would like to share with us?
A lot, Manisha, a lot. Many, many happy memories. Looking back, of course, I think of things we could have done better, more, but all in all, good memories, especially of the early, when I was a student, and subsequently. I think I just feel very grateful for what the department offered. Well, when I joined, it was, the department had teachers whom you came to know. Professor Narayan was there, Professor Ferreira was there, Professor Desai was there, Dr. Sabur was there. Then there was Professor Mohanty Jha, Professor Nair was there for a little while, and then he joined IIM. Ahmedabad, several people. And then, of course, Professor Bhaumik and Yogdan and
Professor
several
Momin
others.
also. Professor Momin also.
Professor Momin, of course. He was first a student.
Uh-huh.
In fact, that's why when I joined the faculty, these were the professor. Then Professor Momin joined, and then soon after that, some of us did. Well, when I was a student, I must say the environment, the atmosphere in the department was very, very happy. It was welcoming. It was open. Sociology department was an open space. Our own teachers, whom I mentioned, the senior ones, and later on some of us tried to follow that tradition. You know, their doors were never closed. They were open. And here you heard of people in America and Germany and Europe where you had to go through 2 secretaries to meet the professor. Here you just knocked. You knocked and said, whatever, Professor Narayan, could I see you? Yes, come, sit down. Okay. So it was like that, and it was with all of them, all of them. We were welcome to come and discuss. For example, we had a little Friday group where Professor Ferreira would ask those who wanted to discuss things to sit and discuss issues that whatever interested us. And it was his specialization was integral anthropology. He belonged to the Vienna school, and so he would often say, you know, the central concern of anthropology is man, and we would say, and woman. He said, of course, woman. So, and Dr. Desai's room was always full. Whoever came to Bombay, whichever scholar came to Bombay, would come to visit him. I believe it was even nicer when we were in Fort, when the university was in Fort, because it was the city center.
The teaching departments were at Fort initially?
Yes. Mine was the first year to study in,
Kalina
first batch of students to study in Kalina.
Okay.
They had just shifted the teaching departments to Kalina.
Okay.
Now, because, well, people were known, the department was known, Professor Ghuriye. I never met him. Professor Desai's room was always full. Full of people, both scholars and activists who may be passing by or passing through Bombay, came to meet him. There were 2 stops for them. One to go to EPW and another to come to Sociology department. And that was wonderful because even though we were not always part of these little group meetings that he had, or even solo with scholars, you know, one kind of heard, okay, so and so has come and they are talking. And if you needed to go to his room, then you could be sure he would ask you to sit down there. And you would be there for that 1 hour when Dr. Desai was discussing the world situation with this scholar. And then you had to drink the tea that went around. You had to drink it and you just couldn't get away. How could you? So while you may be worried about which village to choose and how to do my field work there, you were hearing about the world system and unequal development and, you know, unequal exchange and all that. But great education, great education. And so was it with Professor Narayan, you could walk into their room. Professor Savoor's room was a meeting place for all of us. We would go there and we were, you know, we were sort of very engaged with what was happening around. It was the time of tremendous thinking, turmoil in the society. And there was women's movement, there was students' movements happening all over, and feminism and Marxism and Dalit's assertion and Dalit literature. We were really influenced and impressed by this. Well, our professors had their own orientations, that perspectives. That was all right. But believe me, it never came in the way of their wanting to teach us and to treat us as their student. Because PhD students becomes, you are so and so student. No, we just belonged to everybody, and everybody belonged to us, and we learned from that. Not only that, we had very close interaction with the history department, with economics, with English, with physics, with geography, with Urdu. Everyone came to the department, and I'm sure our teachers also visited them. And there was so much interaction. We knew all these people. You know, Professor Srinivasan from politics department, Dr. Dastur, Professor Dastur, Alu Dastur and Usha Mehta, you know, they were part of the freedom struggle. They had worked with Gandhiji. I still remember when my article on Patrick Geddes came out in EPW, Professor Srinivasan of Srinivas of politics department sent me a note congratulating and offering his comments.
Oh,
yeah,
wonderful.
It was like
So
that,
nice.
you know. I am still in touch with Professor Dalvi, who must be nearing 90. Very respected professor of Urdu. He was part of our life on the campus. We knew them, we visited them. Dr. Sayed, who invited the best scholars, who invited the well-known historians. I mean, Romila Thapar and E.P. Thompson, and you know, it really nurtured us. Those were such. Those were
Exciting
very,
times.
very exciting. It touched. It touched what good research was all about. What concern was all about. What being engaged with one's subject and with society that you study, groups that you are looking at, what it means to engage, understand, write. So, you know, we were really groomed. There were problems, there was no library. At that time, you know, they had shifted to the campus, but they didn't have a proper library. So just one floor of our own building block was converted into a library. So there were just some books there, and occasionally you would have to be ready that if you wanted to pull out a book, you may actually pull out a snake. And that actually happened. So, you know, these kind of stories which excited us, but also bothered us. And the department and the whole campus was extremely badly planned. It was just wilderness. And then we also protested against that. There was a full-fledged students' protest demanding, you know, we wanted the syllabus to be changed, whatever, examination system. But it was always serious matters, matters of serious concern. And students were pretty active. And I must say this, Manisha, our teachers were never critical of that. They spoke with us, we tried to arrive at some solution, even if temporary, to whatever we were raising. And if we were saying something unreasonable, then we had also to see their point. Never ever has any teacher complained or sort of chastised us, or reprimanded us, No, never. Right from Usha Mehta to Alu Dastur to Sandesra to Professor Naik to Professor Desai, our own, nobody. They were very friendly. I think they realized and they appreciated that we were seriously concerned. And we used to have debating groups, we used to have study groups. We even had a Marxist Social Science Association where we invited scholars. There was a lot of thinking going on at that time, and not just, disillusionment, pessimism, and rejection, seeing destruction around. No, we saw what was wrong, and we also wanted to do something about it, We wanted to make a difference. We wanted to make a difference. We were in touch with street theatre groups who would come and perform on the campus. Wonderful. They took up issues, whether it was, molestation of women, or it was hike in railway tickets or bus tickets or whatever. Dalit, women, working class, or whatever. Any issue could be discussed and understood. It was to understand. Yes. And that carried on for a long time. Then gradually that kind of faded out. I think we also live in the larger social context, the larger society, the system, all that. That became much less. But our department was certainly open to ideas and to persons. Anyone could come. Anyone could come and discuss. It doesn't matter what orientation, perspective, politics, it just didn't matter. So long as you were open for a dialogue, a reasonable dialogue, it was very energizing. I was very happy that I was here those days. And that continued for a very long time, till I retired, more or less.
So another thing I was thinking of asking you was, when you were the director of the UGC EPW sort of academic writing and publications, program, what were your experiences? You took workshops across the country, I believe, right? And because that area of academic writing is a need of the hour, I think, right?
Yes, of course.
And we have all these small 2-credit courses on that. But I think you were one of the pioneers in developing that and training workshops, etc.
Yes, Manisha, I must say, you see, you must realize that when we were growing up in academics, you actually dreamt of publishing in EPW. You had arrived if you published in EPW. Krishnaraj was someone you thought was, and there was this journal, and it was in our city, so tremendous pride, So EPW had this place in our lives, academic lives, and one respected it very much. Then, of course, after Krishnaraj, Dr. Reddy took over. I had retired, and I got a phone call and I was asked if I would like to take up this assignment. I immediately said yes. Number one, working with EPW, and number two, the subject itself. I had wanted to do it. Having gone through this fairly, challenging situation of where you don't know how to, the nitty-gritty of research and then writing.
Correct.
We really weren't trained for it. We didn't know to write. What is academic writing? We didn't know. Well, some of us knew English, but we didn't know what academic writing was all about.
Right.
So I had wanted to do it, for whatever reason. Anyway, we had it, as you said, part of a course. It wasn't enough at all, at all. And I would have liked it to spread over every year, to have it with our students, especially PhD, but even from MA onwards. And that didn't happen. And here I must say, I feel a deep sense of gratitude to Professor Indira Munshi, who actually taught me the nitty-gritty of research. What it means to have a problem, what it means to have, exactly what your methodology, methods, what field work means. It seems he shared it with me that in Agra, they had really trained them. But somehow we didn't train our students here as well. And he guided in this respect. Professor Desai provided this great, vision of the larger society and the world system. And of course, his commitment, his very persona, his everything, his work. But the nitty-gritty of research was what Professor Munshi provided me, my brother provided me. However, having learnt it the hard way, I would, all of us, every PhD student cries at some time because the drafts are useless and they keep coming back. Professor Meyasu, Claude Meyasu, the well-known anthropologist, was here once on a Fulbright scholarship. He was very friendly with our students. One day he was sitting with students. I came back from Professor Desai's room and I actually shed tears. I said, no, I cannot write again. So when EPW told me, Dr. Reddy told me, I was delighted. And I must add that this project was offered to several universities and many universities did not take it up. So it came to EPW. Now they are supposed to publish. Now they are going back and teaching us how to write. And I know how Dr. Reddy used to sit with the hard copy, and I mean it was literally rewritten. There were red pen marks everywhere, and I would sometimes say, why don't you write the article? It'd be easier. So I was the director, but it was a team. It was a team that worked. There were people from Hyderabad who were working with EPW. Then there were people from Bombay, and of course Dr. Reddy and myself. So we worked out. I was in charge, but we always worked together as in the spirit of EPW, and then worked out a program. And that was a 6-day long program, 10 to 6, every day. These were meant for young lecturers. Some readers also came, and those who had sort of somewhat advanced into their PhDs who'd gone through the, the first few initial.
Right.
And it was wonderful, wonderful. Lot of work. We gave them background reading. I had to prepare on whatever session I wanted to. Everybody gave some reading, and then we even had sort of practice, what writing an abstract was, what literature review was all about. So all that. And the comments we heard in the end was, this was like a revelation. We didn't even know that all this was involved in doing PhD and writing it up. Everything, writing it up. How to make it academic.
Right.
We are not writing a diary, we are not writing a journalistic piece, not even writing a memoir. But so we did that. And we went to 8 different universities in Bombay, in Karnataka, in Kerala, in Hyderabad, Delhi, Chandigarh, where I couldn't go, but the team went. So, 8 different cities, very, very welcomed and very well organized, and came back with, after it ended, we were exhausted, but with a great sense of satisfaction. My dream had really been fulfilled, that I wanted to teach that. And I also learned.
Right.
I learned a lot. There were many things which I didn't know, which others were talking about,
Right,
since they were in the business of publishing. So they were talking about so many things that I still didn't know about. It was wonderful. And of course, the team was wonderful, and we had a very, very nice, fulfilling time. So that was EPW. And after 2 years, and also they brought out 8 volumes, like the volume on the question of the Adivasis. Each one, we selected editors, a senior scholar to bring out a volume, but from the archive of the EPW, articles that were already published in the EPW. We must have all gone through at least 200 to 300 articles to choose for each of these volumes. A wonderful experience. And working with EPW, working with Dr. Reddy and the whole team, that whole team.
So, Professor Munshi, your work is not something that is sort of kept isolated, in the academic ivory towers. You've been very actively involved with civil society groups and NGOs in the city of Mumbai, right? Like ASIMA, like CSSS, like I think the question of cities more recently. Could you tell us more about your work with the civil society groups?
Yes.
How did you get involved?
I have. I sort of could not treat my work as purely academic. I somehow, and it's becoming stronger now, that I see a purpose in what I have studied or what I have learned. There is a purpose. And everywhere it was strengthened. It was strengthened in my study of Patrick Geddes. When I was working with the tribal communities, I could see how many organizations were actually making and putting themselves, to great hardship to just make life better for them. Some of their rights, better situations, better wages, better education, better living. Patrick Geddes talks about, what we owe to our cities, our society, and that sociology has a practical part of it, yeah. And he actually called it sociology and civics. And civics was to prepare you for your role as a citizen. So for him, citizenship, and this is what the university was supposed to do, was to produce citizens who will then go out into the city and make it a more livable place, a healthier place, a more just place, a more fair, open, and therefore beautiful. I see it as a purpose. I see it as giving meaning to my life. And I always wanted to do it. I was very happy to retire. I was extremely happy to retire because I knew I had I wanted time. I wanted to write in not just academic journals. I wanted to write for more popular reading, whether it is QED or Scroll or the newspaper or wherever. More people should read of what we have to say, anything, whether it is education or it is urban issues, anything. Even reflections on what a museum could be or what a school should be. So I wanted to do that, and I am doing that, and I am helping an organization which is which works in partnership with the municipality. They have 4 schools in Bandra, and they have 1 school in Igatpuri, Nasik, for tribal children. So in whichever way I can, I do contribute. I meet the teachers, I meet parents, I meet the students, and of course issues of indiscipline and even more serious problems, just whatever concerns the children. I feel that I can contribute there, and I do that. I spend more and more time with them. I feel happy doing that. I'm happy doing advisory, but also write for QED, which is question of cities, because our cities are, what does one say about the kind of development that is taking place in the cities? It's becoming unlivable. Of course, much more unlivable for the poor, the underprivileged. But now, there's that song, na, इस शहर में हर शख्स परेशान सा क्यों है? हर एक शख्स परेशान है. So if I am pareshan, then I ask myself, how much more pareshan is the person who lives on the pavement or lives in the slum? There are so many pressing problems. We have to understand them, try to analyze them from some kind of a larger perspective, and then to offer whatever solutions we think, wherever we can change to make lives better for people and what people deserve. The poor, women, everybody, children, elderly. So that is what QED does, and I like to do that.
It's an online
It's an online journal, and P.K. Das has done excellent work. He's done wonderful work. You know about the story of the promenades, the 2 promenades in Bandra. Then, for example, the Juhu Beach, which has created more space to make it available for people, everybody.
Professor Munshi, just a last question. You have sort of, what do you say? You have inspired so many generations of students, of scholars, academics across, generations in at the department, as well as in the, in the various colleges in the University of Mumbai and of course elsewhere. What keeps you going? I believe you also write poetry.
Yes.
So would you like to share one?
Now, yes,
poem
only
with us?
one poem has been published. Huh? So that is my claim to being called. But I do write poetry because I think my literature background, which never left me, sort of seems to be blossoming now. I write it for myself. I write it for, not just to express my feelings about whatever, and for friends that I share sometimes with my colleagues and friends and so on. Yes, I do that. And one day I would also like to write books for children, where, without giving them gyan, but just sensitize them to certain things. So anyway, but poetry, it gives me a lot of joy. Okay, I can read one out to you.
Wonderful, that will be lovely.
It's titled In My City. In my great city, where dreams flourish, ambitions blossom, enterprise reaps rich harvest, houses scrape the sky, rivers no longer flow. Brick by brick, waste by waste, road by road, plan by plan, they are pinched, choked, violated. Grasping for life, they spew bubbles of poison, memories of youth, vibrant, lovely, desirable. These shameless, ugly eyesores, why don't they disappear? Must they linger to avenge our crime against ancestors and children, killing us guilt by guilt, breath by breath, hour by hour, in slow motion?
Awesome. Thank you. What inspired you to write this?
Yes, Manisha, it is merely an expression of my distress at what our cities have become, where, for example, nature is ruthlessly destroyed, whether it is trees or hills or even the old nallas, ponds, small rivers, big rivers. It's just that they are killed and killed without feelings. And this is what I feel about what we are doing to our cities.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Manisha, for having me here, talking to me. Thanks to you and to Professor Maitreyi Chaudhary and to ISS for initiating it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.